but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl.
Yeah, hi there. It's Kelvin MacKenzie on Love Sport Radio. It is a man's world, and I'm with Patrick Christis. And more importantly than even Patrick's, I've got Mike Buchanan in the studio. He's leader of the political party Justice for Men and Boys, and he's a men's rights advocate, the rarest bird in the world. Now, the reason that Mike's here today, and what will be undeniably the more interesting of the debates or discussions we'll be having, is for the following reason. There's been a dramatic rise in the number of girls asking for a sex change to become boys. Requests for females to male gender reassignment have increased by 4,000%. So the Cabinet Equalities Minister, Penny Mordaunt, who unbelievably has been mentioned as the next leader of the Conservative Party. Oh, my God. Right? Is looking into the why of all this. So there's some official figures show the number of children referred for gender transitioning, including hormone injections, has risen from 97 in 2009-10 to, wait for it, sit down, 2,519 in 2017-18. And the biggest increases come from girls, with the number of boys up from 40 to 1,806, compared with 57 to 713 for boys. Sorry, the biggest increases come from girls. So the second number. So the question is this, and this is the question for the debate. If you had your chance again, would you rather be male or female or male? I have absolutely no doubt that I would rather. I am so pleased that I'm a bloke. So pleased, because what with a mixture of period and menopause, there's a couple of bookends in a woman's life which probably means change of some kind, especially menopause. When they think they're all over it, suddenly they're sweating like nobody's business. HRT is going to give them cancer. They have no idea what it's like to be a chap who just gets up in the morning and literally goes to work. But more important than my views on it, we now have Mike Buchanan, as I said, leader of the political party Justice for Men and Boys, and also a unique animal, a men's rights advocate. You can get as many feminists as you like, boring the living daylights out of you about what a shocking life they lead. Oh, my God. So, Mike, what do you make of this particular request for a female to male gender reassignment? What does it tell you? Does it tell you that actually men do have an easier life than women?
No, I don't think it says that at all. This increase of 4,000% over 20 years, I think has come about in line really with public awareness of transgenderism. I mean, 20 years ago, who was talking about transgenderism?
Yeah, nobody was interested. Nobody wanted to talk about it.
No, but it still remains a rare thing. Do
you think that men? Do you think that these days that men are getting the rough end of the stick? They certainly, I know, in relation to Fathers for Justice, it's an absolute disgrace sometimes the way that dads are treated in relation to access to children. But on a general basis, these days men seem to be viewed as some kind of hostile majority,
as pariahs. Yes, I mean, men have never had it good as a class. It's just a myth that they did. I mean, in our last election manifesto, we explored 20 areas where the human rights of men and boys are assaulted by the state's actions and inactions, and almost always to privilege women and girls.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, well, one example is male circumcision or male genital mutilation. It's illegal under the Offences Against a Person Act 1861, being certainly ABH and certainly ABH and probably GBH. And yet the police and CPS don't bring prosecutions. Whereas if you take FGM, female genital mutilation, the amount of resources that have been applied to that in the 33 years since the Female Circumcision Act are extraordinary. So people are blind to male suffering.
Okay,
that's interesting. Actually, the other thing for me that
Patrick
really wound me up about this is the prison sentences that are dished out to men for the same crimes as women. They will get longer prison sentences, and in fact, many cases where women avoid jail altogether. I find that staggering because that's not justice, is it?
It's not justice, and we know from a blog piece by William Collins, a very important blogger, that if men were sentenced with the same severity, if women were, let me start again. If men were sentenced with the same leniency as women, 5 out of 6 men in British prisons today wouldn't be there. So that would be
crazy.
that would be gender equality.
Isn't the reason for that, though? I mean, you're not being wholly kosher there, because there is a good reason for that. What the courts are saying is we would then be depriving you, the children, of a mother, and that the father may not be around. You don't know.
I mean, that's certainly a part of it.
Yeah.
But women use having children as a get out of jail free card, and we are forever, on our blog, having pieces where women are getting suspended sentences, and you know that a man in the same circumstance would be getting years in prison.
What would you like to see to re-establish? I mean, it does make me laugh when I hear some terrible old clapped out old feminist come on wailing. I can't imagine who she is partnered up with. I feel sorry for whoever that happens to be. What pushback is coming for men? With the exception of your party, do you see any example that blokes are doing anything except retreating and regrouping, perhaps?
Yes, well, indeed, I'm far from the only men's rights activist around.
Are you?
Yeah, there's many of us, and we just had a very successful conference in London.
Did you?
The 4th International Conference on Men's Issues.
I thought you were so rare there'd be like an Attenborough documentary about it.
What would be if you could name the 3 big men's issues, what would they be today?
I think the first would be fathers getting access to their children.
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely criminal what's been going on for decades, and that feeds into male suicide. I mean, it's not surprising. We wouldn't be surprised if mothers were ending their lives if they were deprived of their children. Why should we be surprised that men do? Yeah. And suicide is the number 1 cause of death of men under 50 in all age groups.
Is that true?
And has been for years.
What, bigger than heart or cancers or anything?
Yes, it is the biggest single cause of death, and has been for a long time. And the male suicide rate today is 3.5 times the female suicide rate, and that differential has doubled.
Go on, say that again.
The male suicide rate is 3.5 times the female suicide rate, and that differential has doubled in the past 30 years.
And does there appear to be a reason for this, by the way, or is it just is?
No, I think lots of reasons. I mean, and every reason can be attributed again to the state's actions and inactions. So you take, for example, homelessness. I mean, 90% of the street homeless are men. It's not surprising. Street homelessness takes an average of 30 years of life expectancy, and it's not surprising that the homeless commit suicide in high numbers.
Isn't this, just to play devil's advocate here, isn't this fair enough given the years and years and years of male dominance, of higher paid positions in the workplace, for example, women not having the vote until, relatively recently, historically speaking.
You mean 100 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but, men have had the vote for and frankly pulled the strings on society for generations and generations. I mean, isn't this fair enough that maybe there are certain disadvantages for men now?
No, it's not fair enough.
Just to add some balance to this, 3 men discussing men's issues in the studio.
No, it's not.
Well, there are women trying to get in, but they've all got knives.
The idea, the feminist narrative of the patriarchy that men as a class oppressed women as a class is insane. It is just absolutely insane. Men may have been in the top positions, but they've never advantaged men as a class. So you take Parliament. I mean. Men have not, male MPs have not favoured men in their legislation and so on. If anything, they favour women. Whereas, female MPs like Jess Bloody Phillips, that god-awful woman who makes Harriet Harman, look likeable.
Could I just say on behalf of the Jess Phillips Appreciation Society that I don't, what's she always banging on about?
Well, she's typical of the women who are appointed from all women shortlists. So her interest is in women's issues. She doesn't. In fact, she very nearly stopped. She tried to stop Philip Davis hosting the first International Men's Day debate in 2015, which was about male suicide.
Oh, is that right?
And
Yeah. Did she try to stop it?
it's all there on video.
And why?
Well, she said that you can have your debate when I'm happy with the proportion of women in this building. The arrogance behind that. So basically,
Is she likely to survive the Corbyn purge? By the way, is she a centrist?
No. She's pretty hostile to Corbyn.
Oh, is she? She won't be there. She won't be there very long.
Are you married, can I ask?
I'm happily divorced.
Happily divorced now.
Twice.
Twice.
This
Right,
is-
well done, Lottie. So am I. Thanks very much.
I've got all this to look forward to. obviously.
Could that be an example? Of course, you're not even married yet, are you? So you haven't even had the pleasure of divorce.
No, absolutely not. No, I haven't had the pleasure of giving away half of everything that I own to somebody yet, which is half of nothing as it stands.
Well, why don't you take that Tommy Docherty phrase? Why don't you just buy a house for somebody you don't like and then just give it to them?
Indeed. Well,
Yeah,
10 years ago, I wrote a book, The Fraud of the Rings, inspired by...
Hey, Fraud of the
I
Rings.
see what you did there.
Clever stuff.
and I have a blog called Men Shouldn't Marry.
Oh, have you?
Any man today, certainly one with assets, who marries is, in my view, clinically insane.
But mind you, you're not one of the more handsome people on God's earth, are you?
Well,
I mean,
that's true. That's
Let's
true.
be honest. I mean,
And I got no money.
It makes me feel better. I'm deeply attracted to you. I don't know how that
You're
works.
skint and ugly. I mean, where at least Patrick is youthful. He's got a chance. Right. Well, I rather like this. Now, what we're going to do is do something quite unusual here. Rosie Carroll, one of our producers, is going to come in and... Actually, I really admire her for doing this. Thank you very much for doing this,
Does
Rosie.
she know what this segment is?
And she does. And what she's going to talk about is the difficulty of being a woman, an employee in a male environment. We're a sports station. We do news.
A whiner, then.
Right.
A whiner.
And so she's going to come in and she's going to come and talk to us. So that's after the break. Come in, Rosie.